Welcome to the channel, guys. Hope you're doing extremely well, and this is a lecture 6 of our linked list series, right? Now the problem says that we have to reverse doubly linked list, right? In the previous lecture we reversed the singly linked list. Now it is time for us to reverse the doubly linked list. So what does the question say? The question provides you with the head of the linked list, right? This is your head and you have to reverse it. So I have represented next pointer by green arrows. Let me write it. Next are represented by green arrows and previous pointers are represented by brown arrows, right? So after reversal, the linked list would look something like this. 3 will remain here, 4 will remain here, 5 will remain here, 6 will remain here. Now, the next and the previous connection would be interchanged for each node. That is, 6 next was previously null, but now it will be 5. Similarly, 5's next was 4, 4's 3. Now, 3's next will be null. And for the previous connection, I will follow it from here. 3 to 4, 4 to 5, 5 to 6. Remember this convention that next is in the green connection and previous is in the brown. And similarly here it will be null. Now the head is also changed. Previously my head was here, but now my head is here. My head is here, right? So I hope that you are able to visualize that what changes you have to bring, right? So you can see the previous of 5 was actually pointing to 4, but it is now pointing to 6. And next of 5 is actually pointing to 6, but it is now pointing at 4. So for each node, next and previous are interchanged. Now as I say, in the linked list you just have to visualize how your pointers will work. So for the given linked list, that is this linked list, how will I work? So it is rudimentary that I will say my temp will be here. And now because I have to change this connection and this connection, I want my pointers to be here. So I will say my previous is equals to null in the front operation and my next is equals to temp next, right? Now the only thing you have to do is temps next will now be previous, which was firstly next, it will now be previous, and temps previous is equals to next. So what these two lines of code will do, it will actually erase this connection and form two new connections. That is, this is my previous connection and this is my next connection. You can see the force previous is not altered right now. The force previous is actually the same. I will have to change it in the next operation. Okay, so I will move next. That is, my temp will come here, and before changing my temp, my previous will come at the position of temp. That is, my temp will shift from here and my previous will come here. Similarly, my next will also move forward. That is, now my next is here. Now if I do the operation temps next equals to previous and temps previous equals to next again here, then what will happen? So you can see then these two connections will be broken off and new connections will be formed. Temps next, that is force next, will now be 3, and temps previous, that is force previous, is now 5, right? Moving on, our temp pointer will move here, our next will move here, and our previous will also move. This next will not be remaining here as this previous will not be remaining here. Previous will come here, temp will come here, right? Next is there as only. Again, break the two connections. That is, this connection will be broken off, this connection will be broken off. What new connections are formed? 5 to 4 and 5 to 6. You can see the arrows of changing, right? You can see the arrows changing, right? And please do keep in mind the color convention. The green arrow is for the next and brown is for the previous. Now in the next iteration, previous is not also here, next is also not here. Now temp is here now, next will be at null and previous will be at 5. Changing the connections now, so I will rub the previous connections of 6 node and I will say my 6 next will now be 5 and 6 previous will now be null, right? In the next iteration, my temp comes here, my temp comes at null, and as soon as my temp comes at null, my previous is here, right? As soon as my temp comes null, I will break out of the loop, right? And now you can see what is my head. My head is at the position of the previous. So instead of returning temp, I will return head as previous. Okay, so what is the flow we chose? These are the two operations we will have to carry out. First, I will say my previous, in the starting operation it was null, right? My temp is equals to my head. Now what will I do? I'll say while my temp is not equals to null, while my temp is not equals to null. What do I do? What do I have to do in that case? First assign a next node that is equals to temps next, and now temps next will now be my previous, and temps previous will now be my next. Now after these two operations, the pointer of the next and previous of the temp have been interchanged. Now I will have to move forward in the iteration. That is my new previous will become my temp, and my temp will become my next. My temp will become my next. I will not change next here because next is getting initialized from here only, right? Now after this while loop breaks, I will just say return previous, right? So we already saw the dry run above. This is what we were doing in the case of the code also, right? We already saw that. This is a pseudocode you will have to write, right? And now it is time for you to see some actual code on the platform, right? Alright guys, so here we are in the coding platform. Now before starting to code, I would like to request you to please subscribe to my channel, because if you are enjoying this playlist, believe me, you will be able to master the English by the end of it, and that will be very soon. I am trying to upload the videos, as many as videos as I can, and let us try to solve this problem really fast. So my first task was to node star previous equals to null, my temp was equals to head, right? Now another step was to start the loop while my temp is not equals to null. First make a node star next for the reference of the next node of the temp, current next node, that is temps next. Now change the connection, so temp next is now previous and temp previous is now next. Interchange the connection. Now move the iteration forward, that is previous will now become my temp, moving one iteration forward, and temp will now become my next. These are the only operation you have to do. At last your previous will align with the new head, so return previous. Let us try to compile and run it. Hope it will work fine. Okay, as you can see, it is running fine. Let us try it for submit as well. Hope it will run fine. In the meantime, do consider to subscribe my channel. Okay, as you can see, it has run fine, and thank you for watching. We'll meet in the next lecture. We will be discussing the new concept of the linked list, and believe me, you are on the correct path to master the linked list. Okay, have a nice day.